6 p.m. We will go ahead and open up with the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. We did have an executive session. It was referencing to personnel interviews for the police department. And with that, underneath the new business, we're going to go ahead and make a decision on whether or not to hire the applicant that we interviewed that evening. I would like to make a motion that we go ahead and accept the applicant for a part-time position with the Penn Township Police Department.
I'll second that motion, sir.
Okay. Do we have any discussion referencing to the new hire?
I recommend it.
Okay. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Motion passes. The officer will be hired. Is he here this evening?
Yes, he is.
Okay. Would we like to take the moment now to do the swearing in? That way,
I'll go grab
that way he doesn't have to
Yeah,
belabor the process.
you can get to the next one.
Okay.
Let me go grab it.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda, we have the Quells demolition permit. The property has been posted there on with 12 Rupp Road. The property has been posted.
They've been served.
And they've been served, and there's been a response. And with that is that the family member that resides in the home requesting to start taking care of some of the issues that were brought to the attention through the inspector. And there would be a demolition permit required for the removal of the portion of the roof that has fallen.
The porch roof, yes.
The porch roof. So the applicant or the resident there asked that if, because of financial distress in the residence, she had asked if we would consider waiving the permit fee, which is
They're $16.
$16. And with that, we did a consensus with the supervisors. But at this time, I'd like to confirm that consensus is that I make the motion to go ahead and waive the $16 fee for the resident to be able to do the demolition of the fallen portion of the roof over the porch. Do I have a second?
Second motion.
Okay, the motion's been second. Any discussion on the waiving of the permit?
Not at all.
Okay.
Do you realize they bought a brand new tractor?
What's that?
They have a brand new tractor in their yard.
Okay, well, let us finish this part, and then during public comment, if you want to bring that up, ma'am. Thank you. So at this time here, all in favor of waiving the fees for the 12 Buck Road demolition permit, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Permit fees have been waived for the demolition permit. Also on the agenda is that it's the Citgo property down there, which is the old gas station. They're on 11 and 15 on the eastbound side of the highway. We got a report yesterday that there was debris falling off of it, flying across the road, almost hitting cars and an adjacent business property in that parking lot. Also, pieces were flying out onto 11 and 15, which now makes it a road hazard. It's all in all, it's a safety hazard. We've already addressed it. So we've conferred with our solicitor that it's been deemed, if it's been deemed necessary, that we can go there and secure, or if there's anything hanging, we can go ahead and take care of that because it's a safety issue, an immediate safety issue. Tomorrow, Helen will be getting up with the road crew to secure anything that's hanging off that piece of property, to be able just to make sure that any pieces that are attempting to fall off or look like it's going to blow off, to secure them or to remove them.
I'm meeting with the
And
UCC inspector out there.
And the UCC inspector is actually coming out tomorrow with Helen to do the inspection that we asked for it to be done. Whether or not the other property will be done tomorrow has not been
determined yet.
Has not been determined.
If not tomorrow, it'll be next week.
It'll be next week. So right now we're focused on the Citgo property because of the safety issues with pieces of that building flying off. And like I said, we had already been in discussion over it. It's just now it's an immediate threat and a safety issue to the community. Okay, so just to bring up a date on that. Also, want to bring up about the Lanker property. As most of us know, that it's the stone pile property.
Brian, you going to make a motion on that?
Oh,
Sicko?
Sitco, we have to make a motion to authorize the road crew to take care of the
I think you
safety
should, just
issues.
in case something
Okay.
comes up later.
All right, so the issue at hand with the Citgo property is that we need to take care of the immediate threat to the safety and welfare of the community. I make the motion that we go ahead and authorize under the understanding from our solicitor, we have the right to do so. The property owner will be notified that we've taken care of some issues, but once the other determination made, they'll be notified. We make the motion that we authorize the township to go in and secure any safety issues with that building, referencing to loose pieces of that property.
I second the motion.
All right.
Will they be billed for the services of the township then?
Yes, we will be keeping track of all the fees that go with this process. And 9 times out of 10, it comes down to putting a lien on the property when it sells or whatever happens to it. Then the township would be able to recover its fees at that time. Unfortunately, right now, it's out-of-pocket fees, but that's pretty much with any of the properties that have been demolished by the township or fees to do so, okay? So with the motion being second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Ayes have it, the motion passes. All right, back to the Lanker property. As we know that it's the stone pile there. Back in 2014, there was placed a cease and desist on all activities on that piece of property. It's been an ongoing issue with this property owner, violations of the cease and desist. At this time here, do we have to make, no, it's on automatic because it's a violation.
Yeah.
That the township is going to move forward with citing the property owner for a violation of the cease and desist order. So that's going to take place at the property owner they are going to be cited. Okay. We did speak with our solicitor with this direction. Our enforcement, Lenny Sizer, is in the loop with this and everything. But one thing that we got to make clear is that a cease and desist is a cease and desist. There's been no activity whatsoever on that property. And we're at the point, it should have been a long time ago, but we're at the point now where we're going to start citing for every violation. Okay. Any questions from the Board of Supervisors on that issue? Okay.
None of those. Thank you.
All right. Okay, at this time here, we're going to do the recognition of visitors for any other business. What we would ask, if you have any comments and questions referencing to the Township Manager Ordinance, which will be coming up next, we'd ask you to hold off on those questions and comments for that portion If there's any other comments or questions or concern, you can bring those up at this time for, under the recognition of the visitors. Do we have a list?
Bob Bitter?
I have nothing else.
Smith?
I just wanted, with reference to the Quail property, there's no reason that they couldn't have paid that $16. They bought 4 brand new tires and sat out there for about a month before they put them away. And they bought a brand new tractor last year. Whether they paid for it or not, I can't say, but they bought them. So if you would have come to us, I would have paid you the $16.
Okay, all right.
And I just want to thank you for.
Correct. Well, and I think one of our reasoning is with it is that she pled her case. We did talk about it as a consensus, that's why we voted on it tonight. But it's to help move that process along a little bit quicker, and let's try to get this resolved as quickly as possible. So, yeah, so it is a nuisance property, and it's being dealt with underneath the codes enforcements and stuff like that. So, okay, next, Helen.
CC.
Okay, and the other thing is a trailer inspection. Did that UCC inspector go out to?
Not yet. He went in for eye surgery today, so
Okay.
he's supposed to be back Monday, and he'll be doing that
Okay,
first of the week.
The last we heard, that they're thinking about moving from the house into the trailer, which is
Correct.
Yeah.
worse
Correct.
shape than the house.
And at this point here, because we didn't have any action on the mobile, we really couldn't, tell her where she could and couldn't live, except that she cannot live in that structure as of 4 p.m. this Sunday. Okay.
And so what should we do? If we see them there, should we call or?
They are allowed to be in the property to do repairs, but they
Outside.
cannot live in the
Okay.
property.
Okay.
Okay? Is that correct?
Yes,
Yes, okay.
According to Mark, it is.
All right.
And the UCC code. Oh, CC.
I'm just sitting here wondering with that last comment, how do you make that determination? People could say, yes, I'm there at 2 o'clock in the morning with the lights on because I work during the day and I'm working at night. How do these folks know, how does anybody know if they're working on that property or if they're actually living there?
Well, if we see suspicious activity, we do have a police department that's 24/7. So a call can be made to communications to the base, and then an officer can be dispatched and respond. And Chief, if you could just make your officers aware of the situation at that property.
They are. They all know.
They are,
about it.
okay.
Yeah, they all know about it. Yeah,
So that way,
absolutely.
if there is a call and a response. Now, from my understanding, the upstairs lights are always on. So,
Yeah, so how do you tell?
Well, then
That's my
that'll
point.
be one of the first calls that we have. We notice lights on and we need to find out
Inspect.
why they're on.
yes, correct.
And then if they can't turn them off, then they can unscrew the light bulbs or whatever, but the lights have to be on.
I do have one other concern that was brought up, and this is mostly for the chief. I had gotten a phone call last evening before I came up for municipal authority meeting. The person was on their way home from work, they live out in the Cove, was going up Schoolhouse Road, going west on Schoolhouse Road near the school, and was almost involved in a head-on accident because there were 5 or 6, they lost count of the cars, parked on Schoolhouse Road watching a baseball game. And like they said, if they're too lazy to park in the parking lot and walk to the field, but it was definitely a hazard because other cars were trying to go around these cars and it was nearly an accident. So,
Yeah, if they call the county dispatch and we'll go down there and have people move the car.
well, and I left the house like within 5 minutes to come up here, and apparently the game was already over, everybody was gone, because that was going to be what I would do when I got here, but it was already gone. Are there not any no parking signs along there? I mean, that,
I don't think there are any no parking signs, but if they're if they're blocking the street where people have to go around it, it's a no parking, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
And it's blocking the street, not no parking, it's blocking the street, so.
right.
And they'd run the tags, or they just sit out there with their lights on, and I'm sure whoever they are would come up and move them right away.
And I know this isn't the first time that that has happened, but I know that last night was a pretty close call, so.
Yeah. Sometimes they get kind of packed, and then people they have to move up, park up to high school, which they don't want to walk that distance, but They're just gonna have to, and they even park in Louise's park there to walk over to instead of walking to, but that's just what they have to, you know. And then it only takes a couple times, and that'd be it, you know, if they, especially if we know. And in fact, I'll make a point to get a schedule with all the activities. They send it to us on a regular basis usually, but, you know, I'll post it out there and make sure people go down.
All right, I appreciate that, because with spring sports just starting, that's going
Yeah.
to be
Yeah, out
a
here
problem.
too.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next.
Tom,
No, nothing to say.
Bob Johnson,
Nothing this time, thank you.
Henry III.
We had a municipal authority meeting last night, and the question came up due to the lack of electricity when we lost the water service up in Sunshine Hill. Is the generator that was designated or earmarked for out there available for us to use when we need it?
Always has in the past.
Yeah, well, nothing's changed, you know, just,
Is it working and serviceable?
That I don't know.
can we get the road crew to take a look at it tomorrow?
I can answer that for you.
Okay,
That generator sitting out there is plugged in all the time to keep the battery charged. Past history of that generator out there had a large fuel tank on it. No fuel was ever taken out of or chained on it and set around and get that stale. It wouldn't run, it was full of rust. I removed that, which I've reported on this same issue before. And we cleaned that out, cut that tank half in size, and put it back on for the tune of 25 gallon out there. Our small engine gas that we need for our chainsaws and our small engines and whatnot is rotated through that gas tank to keep it fresh. We need 5 gallon of gas for in the road paver, for in the pavers, or any of our gas machines out there. We draw it out of that tank, and when we take 10 gallon out of it, we replace with 10 gallon of fresh fuel. So that generator is sitting out there available, ready to go, and periodically has been started all through the winter. Once a month, we start it up and let it run for a while to make sure it's in there. The key to having that thing is to have fresh gas in it, because the gas today don't last very long. It is sitting out there. Matter of fact, we just drained all the gas out of here recently, and we refilled the thing with fresh gas again. We pulled the last 5 gallon can out of it and put new gas in it. So there's fresh gas in it, and as they use that, we don't go to the gas station when we need 10 gallon gas. We draw it out of that tank. I put a valve on it to put it in our 5 gallon cans. And when we take 10 gallon out, we get 10 gallon gas and put back in the tank. So we constantly have a rotation on that generator. And it's available, and it's for the hookup for up there, and also for an emergency downstairs here, and the hookup is put in the basement for that generator.
if you just contact Helen, it definitely is available.
Okay, well, the window was short. I mean, it wasn't a long time thing, but it brought us back to our attention because it's been a long time since there was any discussion about the status of it, whether we still had availability of it, whether there was any use in it anymore. I mean, I know we have maintenance problems with the others due to the lack of use
Yeah.
on our other sites. So they are a complicated thing to keep update and maintain. If you run into any problems that you can't keep it up or maintain, please let us know so we come up with different options.
Okay.
Okay?
Henry,
Yeah.
approximately, I'm sorry, about how old is that generator?
Well, that one came from the original code plant down there at one time. And because it sits there and didn't use so much, the same problem arose down there. And they put the new plant in, put the east one down. When they gave it to us, it was hardly workable. And spent some time on it. Out there taking it apart. They have used it up there. Not within the last year, but Sam and Ed came out there a couple times, but we towed it up, put it up in there and plugged it in for them, and it's set up there and they used it for a long hour. It's totally serviceable. I know nothing wrong with it at the present time.
So it's in good working shape? We
To
don't,
the best of
need
my
to look at
knowledge, it's
replacing
fine.
it in 5
There should
years?
be nothing wrong with it.
so we don't need to look at replacing it in 5 years or 10 years or,
They only got a couple hundred hours on the whole thing.
okay.
Is what it is. I mean, that's what happens. Their generators spend an awful lot of money on them. They have them 10, 15 years, and you don't start up one. day or every other day for a little bit, they never burned one down.
Okay.
Fuel problem was the problem with that. And then the cap on that one out there had leaked and got filled full of water. The tank was rusted beyond use to repair inside. So I made another tank for it, we put on it, and the township, so we have fresh fuel availability, plugged in, should work.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
The surplus in Harrisburg on Forester Street occasionally has generators, and I've looked at the hours on them, and they have like 20 hours on them sometimes too, so I maybe just keep an eye on the surplus, and you might see one come up for a couple $100, and it wouldn't be anything to pick it up, put it out there anyway, and decommission it until it's needed or something.
If we got Helen to keep an eye on that and see if those things are available, do you want her to bring that to your attention, that maybe the municipal authority would be able to?
Yes, and I'd like to make sure that our new operator has contact points to communicate with, because he's going to be the person dealing with this issue.
Okay.
Okay?
I'll make sure.
Uh,
Is Jody?
Huh?
Jody?
No.
Okay.
It's phone.
Yeah, I meant, get Jody the phone numbers. No?
Louis.
Louis.
Lou Massey.
Oh, new one for me.
You can give it to Karen or Susan, and they will see that he gets it, the contact points, and, because like I said, I don't know when this will happen, how it happens, but this is, the example was a squirrel got in the transformer, and that's what caused the problem last time. So by the time we had the generator hooked up back online, it would have been a viewed issue anyhow in this case. But in long term, we want to be prepared for this till we get a better system. Which brings up the Cedar Cog meeting, which, if I'm not mistaken, you're going to participate in tomorrow possibly?
Yes, yep, 2
Okay.
o'clock is on my schedule.
Because we already, that's in regards to the upgrades of the water system up on that hill, which already, the previous plans had a new generator and everything else in there. So the idea of going out and buying new generators for standby is kind of a mute issue, because if everything ever comes to fruition, we will have a generator for the site. So,
Okay,
all right, good luck tomorrow. We'll see you call.
all right.
Henry Jr.
Reserve my comments for when we get to the ordinance.
Swear in.
Okay, is that it?
That's it.
Okay. At this time here, we're going to go ahead and swear in a new officer. All right, you have all right, Jason, if you'd like to go ahead and come forward. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jason Klauser. Jason is, as you know, just the board for the women with the township. Looking forward, we had a good time in the interview. So, anyway, all right, if you want to go ahead and raise your right hand. Okay. I, Jason A. Klauser,
I, Jason A. Klauser,
of Penn Township Police Department,
Penn Township Police Department,
Perry County, Pennsylvania,
Perry County, Pennsylvania,
USA,
USA,
being hired and appointed
being hired and appointed
to the position of police officer
to the position of police officer
of said township,
of said township,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
and affirm that I will
and affirm that I will
obey and defend
obey and defend
the Constitution of the United States of America
the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution and laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
and the Constitution and laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
and the local laws and ordinances
and the local laws and ordinances
of Penn Township.
of Penn Township.
I also declare
I also declare
that I will perform
that I will perform
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
I also confirm
I also confirm
I have not paid,
I have not paid,
contributed,
contributed
directly or indirectly,
directly or indirectly
any money or otherwise valuable
any money or otherwise valuable
items
items
to procure this appointment
to procure this appointment
except for necessary
except for necessary
and legitimate expenses
and legitimate expenses
authorized by the law.
authorized by the law.
I further agree
I further agree
I will not knowingly receive,
not knowingly receive,
directly or indirectly,
directly or indirectly,
any money or valuables
any money or valuables
for the performance of my
for the
duties
performance of my duties
other than the compensation allowed by law.
other than the compensation allowed by law.
Welcome aboard, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, our new police officer.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, at this time here, we're going to move forward with the township manager for the township manager ordinance. At this time here, we'll open the floor for one at a time. You can raise your hand and we'll just say who goes, whatever. But we'll open it now for public questions and comments. Yes, Cece.
Yes, I understand you can get a copy of this ordinance. How do I go about getting that?
All you had to do was ask.
All right, I'm asking, please, may I have a copy of the ordinance? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Okay. And just this is the same ordinance that was in place once before that it's just being requested to be reenacted.
It's identical, there's no changes?
There may be grammatical changes that were made, but nothing in definitions or in the entirety. It's just grammatical things, maybe an apostrophe or an S where it didn't belong, or other than that, the content is still the same.
Thank you.
Correct, Helen?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Yes, ma'am.
It says compensation shall be set by resolution of the board annually. Is this gonna do anything to increase our taxes, or where's all this money, where's the money gonna come from to pay this person?
Okay, looking at the budget, we do have, what the position is that we're looking at right now is it's one position with two responsibilities. It'll be the road position that will assume the roadmaster's responsibilities and also the township manager's responsibility. With that being said, is that right now if we would hire the position in 2016, in the middle of May of 2016, it's approximately 16 weeks left in the year.
Pays.
Pays, correct, I'm sorry. Yeah, 16 pays left in the year. When I sat down for several hours for several days with Helen and input from Libby in that process of looking at the finances of the township. And what we were able to do is that, and one thing I want to explain too, is that I did make an error in definition in a previous meeting where I said, what happens is that I'm used to looking at corporate budgets, okay? And corporate budgets and municipal budgets are different. And there's terminology that's used that's different. So in that process of not quite understanding the differences between the two, which I've been schooled, okay? And also I've gone to PSATs to get clarification, just so I'm no longer lack of knowledge of the terminology. So when I said in the previous meeting that we're going to bank the money, okay, when I work for a corporation, I work with budgets, and then at the end of the year, if there's any money left over, we bank the money, as in that money goes into foundations or goes into things that secure that money that has growth to it as a nonprofit. That's where they put their money into foundations, which can grow interest. If you look at Milton Hershey School down in Hershey, when I talk about the school, I'm talking about the Boys and Girls School. Over the years, with wisdom from them, is that the interest that they draw on the money that Milton Hershey put into foundations, that school has been secure for a very, very, very long time. Okay, so but again, it's a different type of budgeting than what municipal budgets are. So with that being said, when I said banking the money, what happens is that if you have, you have a projected income, and we exceed that income, well, that money's not banked. That money goes into the general fund. If you have line items that were maybe over budgeted or cushion budgeted, and they weren't, the whole line wasn't, they weren't spent, they're not banked. those items go back into, they all disappear January 1st, okay? And they stay in the general fund. At that point there, depending on how much money is not spent and how much money was over projected revenue, which is income, that money can be absorbed into CDs, it could be moved into a capital fund. We would move that money around, or it could sit in the general fund, in which would grow a small interest out of the Pliget account.
Very small.
Very small, but the money would be accessible, okay, versus putting it into a CD, because some CDs, there's a penalty to withdrawal, but then there's some CDs that you don't have those penalties, okay? Then you can withdraw a small portion of it and whatever have you. But looking at the budget, and Helen and I went through line by line, and we're looking at the budget, because the biggest thing that I want to make sure we don't do is two things. The objective is not to dig into a CD, and number two, not to have to raise taxes, okay? So we, with that in mind, we went line by line, and we were looking at the line items, and we were able to look at where line items were over budgeted or cushioned. Okay, when I say over budgeted, we don't know they're over budgets until the end of the year. But generally, we looked at those line items where they've not been spent over the years, and that there's been those cushions. So looking at those line items, we were able to know and secure that there is funding for this position, okay? Which half of it's already been funded under a budget line for a part-time road crew member, or we call it part-time highway, okay? So, which currently Mr. Holman is being paid out of that because of serving in that capacity of helping with the new guy in the absence of Steve, which is now back to work. Those things have transpired. So, so until that time, we either have this position, whatever happens. So we still have that line item there that's still a part of the budget figure here. So with that being said, is that we looked at all the budget lines, and that we're secured at this point here, talking to Helen and with Libby, looking at the finances, our revenue coming into the township versus our expenses. We're holding the line on both areas. We're on task for the line items and for the budget, but also we're on task right now, on target with the revenue. So looking at the budget, looking at historic parts of the budget, as that income comes in, we don't see income January. You don't really start seeing income until what? March, So we're starting to see. So what happens is that that general fund money that was not spent last year goes into the general fund, or the unexpected revenue goes into the general fund. So the first month, 2 months of 2016, we're actually working off of those funds until those tax revenues or those other sources come in. So, but we'll have a really good picture. We have a good picture now, but usually in June, we start seeing, right now, this time of the year, we'll start seeing revenue coming in on a more consistent basis. And that's just traditional. That's the way it's always been, and that's the way it always is. When the tax collector collects it, whatever revenue they do it comes in, and then, but now come September, we will have the most truest picture of where we're sitting at. Because by then, most of the revenue has come in for the township. With at that point, sporadic revenue may come in through different avenues, but pretty much September, we know that we're on target and what we're looking at that time. So I do apologize that for my lack of knowledge on the different types, the municipal budget and corporate budgets, they are dealt with differently, but hopefully this year at PSATs, they have those courses again, and I'm going to make sure that I'm a part of that seminar, okay? Because I don't want to mislead anybody, I want to be transparent, and I want to be truthful and upfront, so.
Yeah, I have two questions on that, on what you just said. That using the part-time highway line item is going to take care of about half the cost. Is that going to just cover this year, or is that going to cover next year and the next year? That's sort of a half of an answer for Mrs. Smith.
Okay, no, I was just saying that part of the budget for this will come out of on our cushioned line items, and the other part of it is going to come from what's already been budgeted for the part-time road crew.
He's talking.
20,000.
Well, it's not 20,000 now, because we've been paying Mr. Holman out of that. So I believe we're down to
Around 15.
around $15,000 in that line item.
Okay, and the rest of that is going to come from the general fund, and I certainly understand that, which we don't have a line item for. But that is only half of the question. That will take care of this year, through December of this year. What is going to happen next January if this position continues? Where is this money going to come from next year?
Well, and what
You're
will,
certainly not going to have $20,000 in the budget for a position that's costing 3 times that much.
okay, so what it will still be, we're going to go ahead and develop 2 line items. It's for the one position, but it will be a line item to keep track of the roadmaster. It will be a line item to keep track of the manager position. And the thing about it is that when you're looking at that budget, so where line items that are normally cushioned, okay, are not expended, then we look at those line items there. So with projected revenue, knowing that it's been consistently this way for, and again, I don't have a crystal ball or an 8 ball to be able to say in September the economy is going to crash and everything goes sour, okay? Nobody has that. I don't even think Wall Street has those indicators, okay?
And I'm not asking for that, and I don't appreciate being talked down about that.
You're not being talked down to.
But my question still goes back to the last meeting where I have reviewed the financial records. And in 2015, when you ended your year, you had a loss of $33,691.86. You ended up with less money at the end of the year than what you had in the beginning of the year. You claim we have this $160,000 extra every single year. If you are almost $34,000 less at the end of a year, I must be really stupid because I can't figure out how you come up with an excess of $160,000 as you claim.
Okay. Helen,
You
would you like to bring
need to show me
clarification
where
to
that's
that?
at.
Would you like?
His $160,000, he was counting the expenses that we did not use last year.
Going by the budget, what you project. Not what we actually have. So we don't have $160,000. You ended your year in the negative.
With all the accounts there, the liquid fuels, the capital
Right.
reserve, and everything else.
Part of that, Helen, part CDs?
Yes, part CDs.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
What about your CDs? We're here, you don't want cash.
And I'm not sucking this out of my thumb. It comes right out of the Township financial statement. And that you have every single year on record. And you referenced 3 years, 2013, 14, and 15, and that's what I'm going by. That old saying, figures don't lie, but liars can figure. I did the math without this, and I still come up with $33,691.86 as a
Well,
loss.
and I don't appreciate you telling me that I'm a liar.
I didn't call you a liar. That's an old adage.
Okay,
If you took
yeah.
offense to that,
Well, then if
so
you
be
took
it.
offense to me being clarification, so anyway, the derogatory statement was made as in a direction, or else it wouldn't have been made. So
You're not
thank
the
you.
only person in this room.
Okay.
Fact remains, you ended the year last year almost $34,000 less than what you started the year. That still does not answer the question where the money will come from. Yes, we're going to use money. We're going to not spend it some places this year that you proposed budget. I understand that. Where is the money coming from after December 31st, 2016? Are our taxes going up, or are we going to see some other programs cut? How's that
At
coming?
this point here, we're very diligent in trimming the budget and making sure that it is not a fat budget and line items aren't overexpended or overcushioned. We'll look at historic lines and the line that we will be very fiscally responsible to ensure in the next year's budget. And a matter of fact, the discussion has been with the treasurer and with Helen is that part of the budget process, which has not really been done in the past, we're actually going to open up the budget process to workshops, and we're going to break the budget down into 3 different sessions. One will be the police department, one will be the general fund, and one will be
Highway.
the highway. So we will have individual discussions I asked Helen to actually to look at putting those budget figures out, a little request from those departments in July instead of August, or June instead of July.
You said all.
July instead of
Yeah,
August,
yeah.
okay. So that way that we can start this process a lot earlier, I would like to see us be able to have these workshops, have public input, have public address to these for the transparency and the engagement of the citizens in the workshops. We are also going to do things a little bit differently with the budget. Not only are we going to have the traditional line item where everything is numerically in order, we're also going to break out those line items into their proper departments so we can see the road all in one line instead of looking for it from line to line. It could be here, it could be here, it could be there, it could be there. That way everything is in order with all those numbers in that process. And then also the road crew, the budget, the highway budget, will do the same thing. We'll take out that numerical where they're all listed by number, and we're going to break those down so that way each department can be seen without searching all over the map for it. Okay, to bring more clarity and transparency, because times past there's been suspicion about the budget. Again, a part of the transparency and part of the engagement is that process.
Okay, well, you do know that your budget and your line item numbers, they're not just set at random. There is a reason for those numbers being what they are. And as far as the budget being broken down by department, that has been done by the police department has done their own budget.
Correct.
The township has done their own, the road department has done their own. That's nothing new.
Okay, but has that been a part of the public process?
Yes, it has. Meetings have been public.
Okay. All right, well, no, what I'm talking about is that what's always been provided was all the line items numerically. It was never broken down into the police department, into where the public's.
No, it wasn't broken down like that, but
Okay.
each line item is,
Correct, but now it's going to be
Right.
also broken down according to department, so that way you're not looking for the police here, looking for the highway here. There could be 20 different places that the highway's in that line items. Now we're just going to put them all together into highway category so we can see exactly what's going to the highway, what exactly is going to the police department, what is actually going to the administration of the township. So that way that process is being done in 3 different workshops to be able to have that engagement of the community where they're actually seeing department by department instead of all line item by line item. So it's just to bring those line items together under those departments so you can see what departments are doing what without searching all over the place. So it's just to make it easier to read and understand the budget.
Just one thing. The bottom line is we only have so much income coming in. Now, what about generating more income? Has any thought been given to that? You're trying to squeeze other departments or other line items to get the money to do what you want to do with this position.
Correct.
But what about future income?
Okay.
What are we doing there to increase it?
Correct. Well, one thing that we have to learn from Harrisburg and from Washington, they don't believe in cutting anything or trimming anything back. It's tax and spend, tax and spend. So our responsibility is to look at the budget and keep it as lean as we possibly can keep it with the projections and the knowledge that we have at the time that we do it. So with that, there is that fiscal responsibility to make sure that we keep it trim and we're not going into excess, we're not doing anything else. So in that process, when June comes along, we have a better idea what's going on. In September, we have a much better idea. But meanwhile, we're already starting the budget process. If Helen comes to us and say, hey, things looked kind of rough here, all right, what we need to do is trim back some of the fat.
Well, why not increase the income?
Okay, well, that's the other, there's other ways to increase income. One is taxes. That's the last thing we want to do, is increase taxes. But we are wanting to get the economic development together in the township of those areas of the township that are already ready to go. One is that we're taking that process, though sometimes you have to spend money to make money, okay? Unfortunately, we have property owners that are business owners in our township that are letting their properties go. And if we want to bring somebody in to look at a piece of property and you got this crappy piece of property across the street, who's going to want to invest in our community if we're not policing it and taking care of it? So that's one of the things that we're starting to do. We're looking at the blighted properties. We're looking at what we can legally do to get these things cleaned up. That way we can encourage business to come in. You know, I have been in conversation with Chick-fil-A. And you think, well, that's a fast food place. It really isn't sustaining income. Well, you're correct. But it does bring jobs. It brings a tax base. Chick-fil-A said, now this is their words from the marketing manager at Chick-fil-A. They said they would be interested in coming to the area. They're even willing to say they actually have different sized stores. So the one you see in Mechanicsburg and Carlisle Pike is a medium-sized store. That's not even their biggest store, okay? But they said that they would build a smaller box store that would be able to be expanded upon later that at the area grew. So they would be interested in coming here. But there's several factors that businesses look like when they come in the area, depending on the business. McDonald's, say for them. McDonald's looks at 60% of their revenue to come from the local community and 40% travel. So McDonald's says, well, we would be interested in coming in, but in your general area, is there enough roofs? Is there enough people in your area? Well, like I told McDonald's, you know, on average, we have about 20,000 plus vehicles that drive up and down 11 to 15 corridor, with the exception of now in the summer. Okay, that's going to be, that's going to be diminished greatly. Okay, but with that being said, is that McDonald's looks at, and what I encouraged them to do was don't look just at Penn Township. Look at Duncannon, look at Marysville, look at Wheatfield, look at Liverpool, because those people will come off the highway and come down through to hit a McDonald's because maybe they don't prefer Burger King, but they like McDonald's. So those people will come off of 322 if they know there's a McDonald's there. So we're asking McDonald's, we're asking other to look at the whole area, don't look at just Penn Township, because we are one community, and to come through Wheatfield, to come down 1115, I don't know about you, but 274 is busier now than ever before, much, much busier. I know, I live right off of it, so do you folks, okay? So getting out in the morning at 7:30, you got to wait quite a bit, okay? So there is increase, and are they hitting 322? Are they hitting 11 and 15? But there's been increased traffic, okay? So there's a lot of factors that we look into. Another thing is, too, how do we encourage local business, okay? How do we encourage our local farmers? You know, the county is looking at doing a lot of things. We're partnering with the chamber, partnering with the county, working with them, with the Economic Development Authority. And also, I can tell you, I don't have the details, and this isn't a bluff, this isn't a smoke screen, but we do have positive interest in the business park. Positive interest in the business park. And some things at this point here I cannot divulge, okay, but that time will be coming. The other thing is, too, is that we have two gentlemen that are running on the Republican ticket for senator of the 15th District, Andrew Lewis and John DeSanto. They both have been in contact with HAC, okay? HAC, at this point here, the conversation has been, is that along with Commissioner Bender, she has been very much the catalyst of bringing better health care to Perry County. That's one thing that we lack here, okay? So with that being said, do we have the skill set here to be able to work at those medical facilities and the dentist and doctor's offices, whatever? But so the conversation and the interest is that HAC nothing's written in stone, but the conversation has been for them to bring a satellite campus to the business park. And the satellite campus could be used for nursing, dental. There's also within the Economic Authority, Perry County Economic Authority, there's some things that are projected that they want to do is to possibly bring, where, say if you make salsa, and you make a really good salsa and everybody says you should market that, but you don't have the USDA, you don't have the agriculture authorized kitchen to do that. Well, in the future, the county is looking, when I say the county, the authority is looking at possibly building a facility that would have these kitchens in it where people can now go make their product in a USDA and agriculture facility, and to be able to make their product, label it, and legally sell it because they have the right. So it's not that we're changing Perry County, but we're strengthening Perry County. 75% of our residents leave our township and work somewhere else. And like I've said before, that's live, work, play, and stay in Perry County. So there's things on the horizon. So there's things that we can make. And then also, I've been at a conference or on grants. That there's grants and there's loans out there through the state to encourage local businesses to grow. So let's take Marcellus, okay? A very large company in our township. They do a lot of business through our township. Well, we could approach Marcellus through the Economic Development Committee. They can approach Marcellus and says, what are your plans? And what's stopping you from doing what you like to do? Well, most of the time it comes down to because of so much regulations, and we're the 48th highest. You know, we're on the bottom of the list for having the corporate tax that just drives business out of Pennsylvania. So what we want to do is be able to say, okay, we make these loans are available. This is how you apply for them. Okay, so to be able to encourage local business to grow. So maybe they want to add another tower, site 1, site 2, now go with the site 3 to increase their business. Or if there's another area in the township where they say, hey, we outgrown this area, we need a bigger area. Is there a place within the township that they can expand their business? And that could be any of the businesses, in the township. So there's great potential, to do this. And, and we're in the very beginning stages of forming our own committee. Mr. Holman last year made the open, and Mr. John Gerner, but it really didn't go anywhere. But in conversations with Mr. Gerner, we are going to not revisit it. We're just going to encourage it to move forward where it didn't before. And so those things are coming. We're working with the businesses to either bring new business in or to grow our current businesses. We have a local eatery that's interested in the business park. They want to expand their restaurant. So they're looking at the business park to possibly bring that restaurant into the business park. Nothing's etched in stone, nothing's promised, but it's a business in the township that's going to grow in size and how many people they can now service inside of there. And so that's going to increase. What are they going to do? More businesses come, more people start visiting it. That creates jobs. And then also you got more people that would normally not stop at Rite Aid and now not even know there was a Rite Aid there or a Matzo Balls was there. Now those people are going to that eatery. They're going to now stop at Matzo Balls. They're going to stop at Rite Aid. So that's going to increase their business. And then what do you see? You see more employment and you see revenue. So again, these are plans, and these are casting a 3, 4, 5 year plan, to be able to say these are targets and this is what we want to see. So, Mr. Gerner and I, are working on opening it up. So, but more stuff is going to come because we have to sit down and look at what is the objective of the Economic Committee and how they're going to execute and work within the areas that are already prepped and ready to grow and to build. I'm sorry, did that answer your question, sir? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
No, sorry, go ahead.
Is there any of the covenants been changed up there to allow these eateries and stuff that weren't, if they wouldn't have been there in the past, we'd already have them?
Correct. What the Economic Development Corporation is doing, which I sit on that, so whenever those things come up the vote, I have to abstain, okay? All right? But what they're working on right now is that there was some federal things that took place. We have approached the feds, and we've corresponded with the feds, and pretty much what they have come to say, we were requesting some changes, so those changes were made to those conditions. And basically what has said is that, what the business park has been there all this time. There's really not been the activity that we would hope for it to have been for those reasons. Because you have to look, when the covenants and those regulations were all put prior to 2008, the economy and the economic environment was different prior to 2008. It it was more friendly to those conditions. But now, since 2008, the recovery has been much slower, and it's not really, it's a mediocre, maybe a medium strength economy. It's not what it was prior to 2008, though the housing industry has come back, not in full force, but people have recovered some of the losses that they made on their property values. So they're coming up and things like that. So with that being said, we also have gone back to CREDIC. Is it CREDIC? Yes, CREDIC, that oversees the loans, to be able to work with them, and also to work with Stan Lutzaball, because Stan has some covenants that restricted some things. So we do have a developer that the Economic Development Corporation has made an agreement with to work with, to be able to be proactive in working. Now, I think in 2008, the real estate company came back to the zoning board, was it 2008, and asked for some changes to be made.
They asked for change, I'm not sure which year it was.
Okay, it's back in right after the economic collapse and stuff like that, because the environment was much harder to try to bring interest. So we also are going back to some other people that showed interest in the past and say, is your business plan still the same? We're still here. Hello, still look at us. Okay. Unfortunately, there were some businesses that were, unfortunately, I wouldn't say chased away, but let go, meaning that maybe they weren't adequate for the business part, but they could have been adequate for Perry County, and we didn't have the people in place to be able to, hey, what about here? What about there? So we lost those jobs to Perry County completely. Okay, but we're going back and revisiting some of those are part of the strategy to say, what is your business plan, and can we still be a part of that picture? Also contacting other businesses that we know that are looking at expansion. Would you be interested in coming to the business park because they meet the criteria? So we're approaching businesses that already meet the criteria. We don't have to second guess it and know that they already meet the conditions for everybody. But the federal parts of it, excuse me, they pretty much have said, you don't have to come back to us anymore. You guys do what you got to do to get the business park filled, get it completed. So, like I said, with the developer that we've contracted with to be able to help us with that process, there's already, like I said, there's some positive notes already. But again, of course, with anything, until you got the dotted line signed. So, and yes. Yes, sir.
Do we have a real aggressive program to help clean up the corridor, our business corridor down there with some of those businesses that shouldn't be there?
Well, we do have the nuisance.
It's going to be tough to attract some people in.
Well, we do have the nuisance ordinance right now, but in time past, PSATs had seminars on blighted properties. Okay, so going to PSATs and looking what they have to offer and educating us on these types of things. Yes, in order to have that economic attractiveness to the corridor, we need to get like we said, we're already looking at the Citgo property. We're already looking at Dino's. That's just two of the blighted properties and stuff like that. So those types of things there. There's grant money eventually will be available to the township to be able to help promote those empty lots down there in the corridor, to be able to get those developed with the zoning that's approved for those areas. So we're going to look at businesses, we're going to look at the zone and say, okay, what can go in that part of the zone? All right, and then we're going to try to attract businesses by corresponding and with advertisement. There's grant money out there that we can start advertising as a township, saying, we have these lots, come and see, come and check us out. So there is going to be proactive things, but again, they're all in the thought process. They haven't been acted upon, but they will be.
What about the state laws restricting certain vehicles on 11 and 15? How are those businesses going to be serviced if they can't get tractors and trailers up through?
Well, there is tractor trailers permitted if it's for local deliveries, correct? If that's the signage.
Yeah, but I mean, the restrictions don't go until after the Dollar General. I mean, That, it's restricted from Dollar General up. Tractor trailers can come down just like sheets, they come down this way and come in and go back up.
Turn around and go back.
Right, when their next drop-off would have been much closer for them to go on down 11 and 15, and they were made turn around, go back up and across 322, down the other side and back over. So that is a hindrance. I know that firsthand.
You mean with sheets is?
Yep.
Yeah, I've spoken to them and they, you know, they didn't have any problem doing it that way.
They didn't have a choice.
Yeah, and it's not any different than some other townships and municipalities.
State highway.
State highway, you know.
Federal and state regulations that come into play there, so.
So, but. Okay, any other questions or comments?
Yeah, whenever you're ready for me. I'd like to offer some comments on this ordinance that you're considering again for township manager. And I've had experience with the past township manager. Remember what we had, what we didn't have, and what we should have had and didn't get. I saw an awful lot of things that weren't good about it. I'll show you culverts, I'll show you a lot of work, I'll show you piping out here, but you'd never want to believe we put in and done with that. But I took a look at all this, and I got a copy of this ordinance, and I guess it kind of upsets me one more time that when you take a look at what you're going to implement this guy, and you're going to give him all this authority and the whole 9 yards, and I see nothing but administrative work in here. Nothing indicates how many hours it's going to be. And if you take a look at the work that's being, his job duties that set are on here, my golly, that's telling me that Helen don't know what she's doing. We need a secretary more than what we need a township manager, if you're going to bring him in to do all this. No doubt about it. You better take a look at it. I know what happened with the other one that was going to do treasurer's work and do this and do that, and he was going to be out there hands-on. So that brings me to my question, and I listened here tonight about inflated line item numbers and whatnot. And in that 2016 budget, Helen, and all those line items, if we spent what's proposed in every line item, where's our money at the end of the year?
We're in the CDs.
We're past our CDs, we're broke.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah, if we spent
We are
every
past
single
our
penny.
CDs. We are broke at that point. Because you have to take your CD money and break it down and put it in those categories through this budget. Am I not correct, Helen?
Yes, you have to
That's
count the
correct.
CDs
So there's
to
only
budget
anything
balance
that's
it.
inflated in there has to be in there to balance your budget. Has to be. So spend every one of those line items and pull from the highway department, pull from wherever you want, and at the end of the year, you got a damn sight more than the 30,000, and she's saying you're in deficit. You don't have nothing. You don't have nothing. I've been around too long to know what I'm talking about.
Thank you, Mr. Holman. That's the point I've been trying to make
Okay.
all along.
I'm going to move on in this, because I don't want to be on the stump here all night. I've had enough meetings in my life. But I remember the past performances in here that we had with the township manager. And there was more bad than I would say that there ever came out of it good. And he was not fired. He was not asked to leave. He quit because he lost his perks. And when he said he couldn't have them, he quit, and he did. And we saved his $70,000 a year for 4 years and put it in capital reserve. That's how we got that money. That was that man's wages. That's our capital reserve money today you're working off of. I tied it up so it didn't disappear again. I guess I have these questions. Will the manager be doing hands-on work with the road crew, ditch work, road repair, building repair out here at the building? Will we be helping with the garage roof, the salt and the skid shed buildings out there has been proposed to get done? Tim's laying out there for the roof. We got a guy that's going to crawl up there and around there like the crew I had to do it. How are you going to do it? You're just going to let the building fall down because it needs a roof out there. I got tied up last year, late, out on Linton Hill, and I thought I would have it all.
but I didn't get it all. But the tin's out there, it's all paid for, and it was all through the budget. So's the lumber to replace that up overhead. Will he be operating the operator? Will he be operating the backhoe? That's another question. Because I assure you folks, you don't have a backhoe operator in this township at the present time. If you don't believe me, come out to watch drive tomorrow morning. We're putting the culvert in and see who's digging it, who tamps it, who grades it, who does it. If it wouldn't be for me, you don't have nothing. The guy can't run a backhoe, he can't do nothing. I will be giving you guys a full report because it's a personnel issue. And then I question, by golly, what his state of his work will be, because when I come in here tonight, like always, he spends a lot of time at Tubby's. And the nights that he has his Legion meetings or whatnot, he's not worth a damn the next day. I have to work with him. And I'm doing the best I can to get it done, and I am getting it done. I'm not afraid to say what's the truth in these matters, but I'm going to give you a full report of some of the things that have taken place. I'd like to know whether he's going to help maintain our rubber roof up here. He has no knowledge of anything like that. There's no construction knowledge. We don't have nothing there. And there's other issues. So I know that the need for in the office here, I hear they're going to come in and help Helen part-time. And if after 15 years Helen don't know her job or what's needed around this township, then I'm sorry folks, you need to get another secretary. I'm not saying that's a must, but I don't think you need a township manager to help her out if she applies herself to the job, she knows what she's doing. So one more time I'm going to say, show me on paper where the money is coming from all out of this one budget. I know what it takes, and I've sat with Helen in the budgets the last couple of years, and at the end of the year, we were scratching our heads whether we're going to have enough money to carry us over until the next money come in. Now that's not a surplus.
No,
Because you're at the edge of having deficit spending going into your CDs. And now you're going to put this on, you're going to have to hire somebody else out here. You've got these units on the roof that should be taken out. You got this tank out here that ought to be dug out of the ground, by golly, and got rid of it. Come in the other morning here and look up, we got a propane unit up here running to keep the building warm. After we spent all the money to put in good efficient units. Someone tells me it's okay, I'll go up and disconnect the thermostat wire for them so that can't happen again. I don't have that authority, but it should be done. I would gladly do that. Unhook 2 wires up there. They won't run again. And those units should come off the roof. You need somebody to do that. Is this township manager going to be part of that? Is this guy going to be knowledgeable enough to do that? We had it in the past. And I will say one thing, I am so sorry, I don't know what happened. Tom Rissier in the last 9-10 months turned into one heck of a good man, and he was doing one heck of a good job. I tried to talk him into reconsidering coming back, I don't know how many times, because Tom would have the ability to make things happen. He had really progressed, took about 2.5 years to get him where he could think and make good straight moves, not waste time, didn't waste money, and etc. So you got this budget, all this money comes out of the general fund somewhere. I'm just sitting here hearing from Helen, these are inflated line items, but there's a reason for them. Your CDs are buried in them.
if we spend everything that's
Yeah,
in the budget, the
that is
CDs will be
correct.
used.
You spend it, you're broke, folks.
And once the
You
CDs are
you're
going, they're
broke.
going.
And you are right now going to increase this. You're going to probably do other things out here above and beyond to increase our expenses. I'm looking for my quarterly report to see what was budgeted on all line items. I'm interested with the amount, and I'm especially interested in seeing just how our attorney fees, which I think are probably escalated compared to what Mr. Wagner sent us. I'd like to take a look at them. I will be making right the nose for some of this equipment, for this information.
I just haven't done it for March yet.
And I looked at those quarter reports every time, so I knew where we were at, knew what we were spending. And I never bought equipment or tools or helped you guys with anything until we got into the fall year, because I knew that we could possibly do it. And it gave a very limited amount of spending to buy something new for in the shed out there. You know, you talk about this, and I'm not trying to trying to make a bigger deal out of this, other than you have 3 supervisors that sit on the board. And it is my opinion that if they can't do the job that they were duly elected to do, it shouldn't be the taxpayers' expense to have to pay for a township manager to do their job. That's my honest opinion. I saw what was happened and what was done before. You know, you go back here, I find it amazing that a couple of years ago, outside out here, a big sign out here, independent audit, that said this township is going to go broke in a couple of years. And now we're saying we got $160,000 we're saving and putting away at the end of the year. Come on, smoke and mirrors. Folks, that independent audit was smoke and mirrors because it never was. Never happened. We all know that. Everybody in this room should know that. Helen knows it never happened. Libby knows it never happened. I know it never happened. Cece knows it never happened. You guys are headed into your CDs before the end of the year so quick that you don't know which way you're going. I can only say that. I'm peeping out there, and I'm not going to social news media. I'm going to follow this. And I will pay to put it front page in Duncannon Record in the newspaper. The truth. Some people will know the truth, they tripped over it. I'm telling the people of the township the truth as to what's taking place here. And as far as your Economic Development Committee with Mr. Gurney, I'm going to say one more time. That idea came from the Planning Commission to me because Mr. Gurner was at every Planning Commission meeting. Your ordinances do this, you hold us up, you do this, you do that. You should have, you ought to have, and the whole 9 yards. Brian, you were part of that. I hate to say that, you were part of hearing all that. Constantly. So the idea was set up, it was set up again, I made that statement before, for him and an Economic Development Committee to get back to the Planning Commission to show in our ordinances where we're holding up economic development and let them recommend to them to take a look at it to have them changed. That's what the Penn Township Economic Development was set up for. It was a name maybe it was wrongfully applied. But that was set up to get back. There has never been one response. And Mr. Gurner, since the development up over the hill next to the cemetery got their preliminary, got their final, their preliminary sign that we don't need a grant for 8 years, a continuance of a plan, has never been back to the Planning Commission. Special interest groups, fellow, are coming at Penn Township hand over fist. That's why I was on the floor last month, and I have another question for this board. Was there any attempt to take this information I got on the roads that are labeled wrong into the county to get them reversed? When they were bad before, I did that.
Helen, what was the discussion on that topic?
We were going to bring it up tonight.
Yeah, well, we're going to approach the county and getting that rectified, correct?
That was the discussion today, Henry, this afternoon.
Said after I mentioned it to you earlier.
Yeah, but I didn't, he started the conversation.
No, I started the conversation,
Yeah.
okay?
Well, I had a big concern about that.
Well, I do have a question. Who's the special interest groups?
What's that?
Who's the special interest groups? You said that the special interest groups. That looking at
Special interest groups, just like the people by golly that are tied in with them and still here, with the group that sued me for my farm and the Ellenbergers for their farm, those are special interest groups. Folks.
Okay, and they're still, have they approached the township in the last 4 years?
I'm just saying special interest groups are still here, waiting
Who?
to
Where are
see a
they?
change on something.
Talk about smokescreen, okay?
You know what I'm saying?
Who are they?
You know, anybody that comes out here,
Who are they?
I guess, you know, Mr. Peters, I'm going to ask you the same question. Who was it? If it wasn't directed at you and Mr. McGuire, who was that statement that night, at least the Landis directed to?
No, who's the special?
Name me.
That has nothing to do with
Name
this.
me tonight.
This has to do
Name
with
me.
township manager and the budget.
Name me.
Okay, this has
Make my
nothing to
name
do with
out
that.
there. That's what I want.
So, what?
Put my name out there, that it was directed at me.
Mr. Holman, who are the special interest
I'm
groups?
just telling you,
Again,
asking you a
you
question.
want to talk about smoke screen and tripping
No,
over lies?
special interest groups, People, by golly, that have a special
Name
interest
them.
in
Who are
having
they?
things their way
Is it
are special
CPAC?
interest
Is
groups.
it CPAC?
Anybody that wants something special for themselves that isn't available in a township and expects change to give
Who are
it
they
to
then?
is
You're
a
aware of
special
them? Who
interest
are
group.
they? Who are they? Nobody's approached the township. Any special interest groups?
Not to my knowledge.
No.
I'm an error on that statement, I apologize. Now you tell me who was directed at, name it.
That has nothing to do with
I
this
want you to
meeting. I don't
name
know. You have to ask
Well,
her.
then I'll bring it, no, you're the one that made the statement, Mr. Peters.
I don't know.
You made the statement that did not apply. I have it in the minutes. I
That has
talked to my
nothing to
attorney
do with
about
this meeting, Mr.
Tell me
Holman.
it was me.
Public comment was at the beginning
Tell
of the
me.
meeting. We're discussing this issue.
You decided on one thing.
You're out of order.
You decided
You're out
that.
of order.
You made that
Excuse me, Mr.
statement.
Holman.
You're out of order.
Excuse me,
Okay,
sir.
I might be out of order.
Sir,
But it's the
excuse me, Mr.
truth.
Holman.
It's
I
the
believe
truth.
you're off topic right now. I think we ought to get back to
Okay,
the
we'll
topic
get
at
back on
hand,
topic.
sir.
I'll bring it up at the regular meeting.
Okay.
So I understand then that our next hearing meeting is going to be before our regular meeting with the stenographer and for sworn testimony.
Yes.
Okay. So I asked for some of these questions in
Okay.
regards to this. Where's this money coming from?
Okay.
Show me what you intend to spend and show me where it's going to come from and how it's going to be out there that we
Okay.
don't go.
Well, I have a
deficit
question. I have a
spending.
question for Mr. Holman.
Sure.
You're about accountability, correct?
What's that?
You're about accountability, correct? Now, this gentleman's been on employment for 2 months? Okay, 2 months? How comes now that you have an issue about something else? Now you want to, how comes this wasn't brought to our attention earlier? Brian, was this brought to your attention about his problems? About issues?
I told Brian I'm going to give you guys a full report.
Okay, wait a
And I
minute.
will do that
Wait a
because
minute.
of
You want to bring
personalities.
this up, but he's been in employment for 2 months.
What's that?
He's been in employment for 2 months.
And the more I sit back and watch and listen.
Okay, so why hasn't anything been brought, Brian is a liaison to the highway department. Okay, why hasn't this been brought up to Brian?
Mr. McGuire's been mentioned too.
It
And
has,
I told
when
him I would
was it
give him a
mentioned?
report.
When was it mentioned? Today?
No.
Okay, so is there a reason that information wasn't brought to the board?
What's that?
I'm
Because
asking,
I
I'm asking us.
haven't finished my report, bro.
Okay, but the thing about it is that you brought up issues of concern. So it should have been brought to our attention as, you know, you have no problem bringing these attentions to other things. Why hold off to too much for it to be ammunition?
Part of this that you know you're going to have to spend somebody
Yeah,
money.
it's called accountability, and if we're
Correct.
aware of things, we will make people accountable. Absolutely.
You know?
Okay, but we had to be aware of them. So 2 months later, you want to come and say something because it's ammo.
Well,
Because it's ammo. Okay, another question, let's see here. I have no issue with the but now, I thank you for your years of service. But as the acting roadmaster on the road crew, you worked full-time on the road crew, correct? And
no, I did not.
Oh, okay, so you didn't work a 40-hour week on
No,
the road crew?
sir. No, sir, never did.
Specify when you want, when the time limit of that question.
Okay. Okay, did you ever serve full-time as a full-time roadmaster and only billed for part-time?
If you go back and look at the minutes, I'm going to answer this because there's a record of it. When Randy Plummer walked off and we didn't have the road contracts done and nobody knew where to go, I came to the board and I stepped up and I said, you people pay me 2 hours a day to cover my gas and my expenses. I'll run my own truck and I'll make this happen for you. And I did that.
Yes.
And I worked when, and then when we got a crew trained and we had other part-timers out here with them, I got paid for 2 hours a day for laying out the work, doing the work like that, and more than not, I was not out there 40 hours.
But
The crew was able to do that.
But you did volunteer out. Okay, so with what we're looking at for this full-time position with 2 responsibilities, some are questioning if this roadmaster is going to be out there for how many hours. So you were able to get the crew going and get them working and keep them on task. Well, he would be, you would take care of other things or leave or do whatever you did.
There was-
So the same capabilities.
There were some
We
days,
haven't interviewed anybody yet for the position, so how do we know what gifts and talents are out there until we start interviewing these people?
when they had
And
bad
believe me, we're going to make sure that these, we're not just going to hire any Joe Schmo out
They answer
there.
your question.
We're going to look at their
Well,
credentials.
I only ever got paid for 2 hours a week.
Okay,
No
correct.
holidays, no nothing.
but you did put in more than 2 hours a day.
Then the last year and a half, 2 years, last year and a half, no. The road crew was able to take care of most of it.
So you gave them 2 hours you gave them instructions for over a period of 2 hours observed and then left for them to complete what they had.
Lay the work out for them or have it laid out for them, and they had questions. I said, they give me a call when we're putting bollards in. we're
So you
putting
don't think
storms
there's
in.
people out there that can apply for this job that when we vet them
Yeah.
and look at their criteria and actually do their employment research or employment job checks and stuff like that, I believe that you did a great job over the years maintaining our roads, and we want to maintain that same thing. Okay, but there's other areas in the township, that need help also. Okay, and the thing about it is, you brought up about the shed. Well, that shed's been on the agenda for the last 3 or 4 years. 25,000 allotted every year.
Part of that's your CDs, fellas.
Okay, all right. So no, that's been budgeted for the last 3 or 4 or 5 years.
That's correct, and some of the shed maintenance building out there, the tin roof, there was enough budgeted money on there for the garage repair out there to do that. And the idea of those.
But the question is, it's been allotted.
Spend maybe 5,000
It's been a- no, but the question is, it's been allotted for 4 or 5 years.
At a time, you don't do it all 1 year.
But it's
because you didn't
question.
have the money to
It's
do
been
it.
allotted for the last 4 or 5 years, and it's never been done. But it's all of a sudden it's important.
No, because I did have the time. I just want you to know that that's part of one of those inflated numbers. That's your CD money. If I'd have spent it 2, 3 years in a row, fella,
No, but not,
we'd have been into it.
that money went back into the general fund.
It's saved by golly. I see you laughing, Helen, you know what I'm talking about, you know where I'm at. She knows what the truth is.
It wasn't used, therefore we did not go into our CDs, therefore the money is still in there.
And okay, I want to bring up the other issues. If Helen was doing such a grievous job, there was opportunities while you were in office to be able to deal with that and take care of it.
And we have dealt with some problems, you have to know,
Okay.
you were part of it. But now what I'm saying here tonight, when I take a look at all the job duties here that you're going to hire this township manager for, half of them, by golly, I made the statement there, it makes it look like she's not doing her job.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying. If
No,
you're going to
it
hire her
doesn't.
to do this, Helen, you really need help. And so the statement is, if you're going to hire someone to do all these administrative duties here, then you're not saying much for your secretary.
No, it's not. Because
No, you're not. You're not
okay,
saying much
that's
for
not,
her.
and that's
You're
not
saying
correct.
that she's not doing
Because the
her
thing
job.
about is that, several years ago, I started a brand new position that was created at my employment. It was a brand new position. There was a set criteria. But guess what? That job description developed over the years that I was in that position. So it's with anything, it develops and it grows and whatever have you. But the thing about it is that in the past, there's been issues. Look,
The statement was in defense of her.
Exactly, and I'm in defense of
I'm
it.
stating.
No, I'm in defense of it too, because I'm saying if it was that grievous, you had an opportunity to take care of it then, okay, and you didn't. Now, my question is for you then is,
Why would you want a township manager?
okay, with that being,
That's the question.
okay, with that being said, well, anyway, so, I lost my, okay,
Well, what Henry's trying to say here that there's going to be a difference in the type of manager you're talking about, a hands-on kind of thing.
Yes.
You get your hands dirty, or your administrative position.
it's going to be both. It's going to be working on the road crew, doing what Henry's done over the years, is establishing that the work gets done, what works get done, overseeing it, to make sure it's done properly, doing the biddings and all that other stuff. But also, it's the part of his responsibility will be the township manager, working on those other areas of the township that those things need to be taken care of. Listen, this woman has tremendous service to this township, despite some of her downfalls. Okay? I've seen tremendous growth in this lady over the last year.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, if she wasn't here, if she ever goes, you guys are in deep.
Correct.
You really are.
Well, no, I'm not looking.
You really are.
I'm not looking at getting rid of her. He's suggesting we should,
No,
but
it's not
no.
what
I
he's
don't think
saying.
that's what he
Okay.
What he's
said.
trying to tell you people is how much these people really do all the time.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
But now listen, this lady several years ago, because we were short a treasurer's position, ended up not being able to take vacation and sick time during that year, almost a year, if not more.
No less than that.
Or she would have to take a half a day here and half a day there. She made a lot of sacrifices. And during that time, when she was overwhelmed, did anybody come to her rescue? And mistakes were made. But did anybody come to her rescue? Okay?
I'm gonna leave you, I'll see you at the next meeting, I will be, one more time, will state
Stick around.
that the direction that you're headed, folks, the direction and the ideas that you got, you're gonna be in your CDs. You're gonna be in that reserve money. And you can show it to me on paperwork, but that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, but I'm just really, I'm surprised and question is that I believe from this position of chairman, I've been very communicative with both supervisors and the office staff. Have I not been
Yes, you
very
have.
engaged? Brian, have I not texted you and emailed you and communicated things with you? Joe, have I not? Joe, likewise, with the police department, you're the liaison. Have you not taken things down to the police department and brought things up and communicated this to the police department? So I'm curious and why this information wasn't relayed back to us as supervisors from another supervisor. You know,
Because I
really,
asked
I
them
think
to
what it
hold
is.
tight. I'll tell you what, don't blame them, I asked them to hold tight.
No, no.
So I give you a report. I'm gonna give you a written report because some of it don't belong out here.
Oh, correct, but my thing
I'm
is
just telling you.
that the guy's been in employment, this information's been relayed, and it should have been disseminated back to the other
Somewhere along the line,
supervisors.
This is gonna
Because-
bite you and cost you more money,
Okay,
Brian.
so lack of accountability like there was back then, we're going to have accountability, but people need to communicate with us, and we
This
will
situation's
have that
gonna cost you
communication.
money,
So it's time to cut the puppet strings.
okay? I'm done. Cece has to stay a little.
Yeah, because I have a couple questions on this job description, because I think it seems a little redundant and some of it's a little confusing. Page 2, items D and E. Service liaison between Board of Supervisors and all township authorities, commissions, and committees, and attend all Board of Supervisors, Planning Commission, and all other meetings specified by the board. They seem redundant, that seems like the same thing. Now, how is that different from the appointments which are made at the January reorganization meeting for the supervisors? And I brought this exact item up on the 17th of March. I thought that the job of the supervisors was to be a point of contact, be present at different authority meetings, planning commission meetings, park and rec meetings, whatever it is.
They're
I thought that was
liaisons.
the point of contact is what it says on the agenda, on the minutes of the January reorg. Not a liaison, it's a point of contact.
Yeah,
So, if
a
that's what
liaison,
these,
a point of contact.
don't interrupt me, I'm speaking.
No, I'm just bringing
If-
clarification.
I have 10-year-olds that listen better. If these are the same duties as what the supervisors are to be currently doing, there's a duplication. Item F, develop and administer township personnel policies, procedures, and programs. We already have a handbook. Are we recreating the wheel by developing a personnel policy? G, originate and maintain contacts with federal, state, and county agencies and other organizations with whom the township conducts business. I would imagine that this is something that Helen already has. She's got a huge file with all these contact people, companies, representatives, the whole 9 yards. So how much time are we going to be wasting spending cross-training somebody? Not saying that's bad, but we're going to have a lot of downtime that work's not getting done because one person has this information and we have to give it all to somebody else. H, maintain public relation contacts with township residents. I'd like to know what all's involved with that. They go on door to door, they having a public meeting, what exactly does that mean? I serve as contact with current and potential township business people and land developers to maintain an affirmative public-private relationship. That sounds like your John Gerner position to me. We're schmoozing in who we want in the township. I think what those people need to do with potential land developers, I think they need to follow the proper channels, which has not always been followed, and I think we can cite some examples right along 11 and 15 where these people need to submit a plan, have plans approved, have hearings on these things. There are certain committees and things that need to be done, rather than just coming and talking to a township manager and saying, this is what I want to do. Oh yes, I like you. Well, I'll make sure that this is done. You want to talk about puppet strings, right there I think you'll find that under item number I. And as far as preparing the agenda and all necessary information for all meetings of the Board of Supervisors and all commissions and committees of the township, there again, there's another job that I'm sure Helen has been doing. And my concern on that, prepare the agenda and all necessary information for all the meetings, all the commissions and committees. So does that mean that now this new person is going to create the agenda for the municipal authority? Therefore, there would be no need for a chairman of the municipal authority, a chairman of the Parks and Rec Committee, chairman of the Board of Supervisors, because this person is responsible for preparing the agenda and all necessary information for everybody. He's going to be God of the township. O says prepare and submit to the Board of Supervisors an annual budget including capital improvement program. That's contrary to what you said earlier about having 3 workshops, breaking everything down. Now this person is supposed to prepare and submit to the Board of Supervisors the budget, followed by P, implement and administer the budget after
Clarification.
adoption.
So the budget process is gathering the information
I'm presenting it to the
and
supervisor.
presenting it to the, is that not
Oh,
what?
one person's going to do that. We're not, I thought you said earlier that the 3 different ones were going to do that.
Okay, but the thing about it is that what's going to happen is that they will be proposed, and then we have the workshops to go through that budget on those particular departments. So there has to be a gathering process.
Oh, it has to land on
Yeah.
somebody's
A
desk.
10-year-old would understand that.
Yeah, without redundant work, and that's exactly what this is. So, like the police department is going to prepare their budget. They're going to hand it to the manager, and the manager is going to say, oh yes, that's the police budget. Oh, here, supervisors, here's our budget. You've got redundant jobs on here.
Thanks for item I, Cece, where it says private relationships.
Hey, that sticks right out.
That don't belong, that's wrong.
Nope, had that
You got
before.
someone that's creating township official, a private relationship.
Yep.
And it's underneath that issue with land developers to remain affirmative.
That's why I
public,
asked you
and
to
private.
stay.
There should not be no private.
Nope.
They tried to drag me into private meetings or a private relationship when I was sued to get what they wanted, and I never pertained to it. But here we got the requirement in here on this thing. It is wrong.
Yes, it is.
Mr. Holman, didn't you have private relationships with businesses in the township?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't
didn't?
frequent Butsy Balls, I don't go to the pizza shops, I don't
No.
go to any of the businesses.
No, you
township for that
never,
reason.
you never went to Rock Morris and had meetings with them discussing the issues that were taking place?
At the request of a solicitor over here in this room, and at the authorization to meet with him out there on his building where he said he had a heat system in it that he didn't. And that's the only time I ever met with Rock Marson, right over there with solicitor.
Isn't that
Wagner.
private?
What's that?
Isn't that private?
No, it would come back to the board. It said only one person could be there. I brought the information back.
Was there any prior knowledge of the board of that private meeting?
What's that? Yes.
Yeah,
There was.
yeah.
Sure
yeah.
was. Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Huh? Absolutely. Was or not, Cece?
Yes, there was.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I was just clarifying for the record.
Absolutely.
One
Yes.
of my concerns is with this ordinance and the whole thing, is you guys are elected. The township people had a chance to vote on your position. This guy who's gonna have unlimited kinds of powers that seem to be ones that you guys really have, and were elected to serve, will have them,
Okay.
it's like, what do we need?
This is ma'am, this is the exact same ordinance that was in place once before. Okay?
And we know,
Okay.
we're
Don't
Okay.
work any better either.
Okay, but there's a different board, and assure me, there's going to be accountability, okay? And we are still that individual's boss, like anybody else in the township that's employed. We are still their boss. And if we know that things are going south and things are going wrong, then there's policy to bring corrective action. And believe me, I work, I employ, I hire, and I fire. I do performance reviews every 5 months. I understand what accountability is. I have contracts, millions of dollars in contracts that I oversee. And when that contract calls me and says something's not being done right, guess what? I'm taking immediate action. I don't let that email sit for 6 weeks or 2 weeks. By the end of the day, I'm taking action. Okay, so know that this board is different. All three of us are professionals and work in place of responsibility. This is a former police officer. Joe, were you a detective?
Yes, sir.
You were a detective, so you oversaw employment and investigations and things like that. And there was people underneath your charge, correct? Okay, so you know about accountability. Ryan, you work in a place of authority and a place of, do you have anybody accountable underneath you that you, okay, previously? Have you had people that you, okay. So with that, we do have experience on the board. Listen, you're right, we are hired, elected to do a job. And this isn't a frivolous job. In many days, this office is sometimes pushing things back, and it's not because of lack of time management, because those issues have been addressed. I've been in this office listening to the phone calls that have been taking place, and having somebody at the window, and all these other, and then trying to go out and do PA1 calls, and doing all these other things. These two ladies need help in that office. And there's and there's things that have fallen through the crack because lack of help in that office. But did anybody come to their rescue on the previous boards? No, they did not. And let's address the issue about the liaison. I remember there's plenty of times when Cece sat in this seat and we would ask her about the municipal authority and she said, you would have to go talk to them.
Not when she was a,
Not when I was a
township supervisor,
She
went to every meeting.
No.
I am her husband,
No.
I know.
No.
How many of you been to since you've been in there?
You're not understanding the question, sir, or the explanation. The explanation was when she sat in this seat and people in the audience would ask her about the municipal authority, her answer would be, you need to go talk to the municipal authority.
Did I not give a report every single
gave a
month?
report every month.
Let me finish
Okay.
this. Did I not give a report for the municipal authority every month when I was a supervisor while I was
But when
on the
they asked you
board?
questions, did you answer them?
Is that who did you just gavel down tonight because they were off topic? Do people come to a supervisor's meeting to ask questions about a municipal authority problem? And how many times did I say, this is not the forum for that. That will be addressed next week at the municipal authority meeting. The supervisors meeting is not a municipal authority meeting. And that's why those comments were made. But yes, I did submit a report in writing every single month when I was a supervisor.
And now we're requesting, as the liaison, as the contact person, we made a request for that report to be provided. It's not been provided. Well, no, because we just asked for it. We just asked for it, okay?
Yeah, well, it's a little hard to do when you just ask for it, but we still
well, and I
have a point of
clarified.
contact who does not attend the authority
Tone it
meetings.
down a little bit, please.
All right. Anyway,
Excuse me.
go ahead, Joe.
Let's tone it down a little bit. Nerves are a little on edge here and we're getting a little loud, argumentative. It's one thing back and forth, I understand that. When people start getting angry, start raising their voices, we're gonna have to tone it down a little bit. I don't wanna be a part of that, please. I don't want to shut anybody up, I'm not trying to censor anybody, we gotta tone it down a little bit.
Fine, I don't appreciate being lied about to my face. Thank you. Reports were given every single month. It's more than I can say about the representation that the municipal authority has gotten from the point of contact of this Board of Supervisors. And I believe, to further that point, yes, I believe to further that point, there has been a representative at the supervisors meeting every single month and has provided information to the supervisors. Am I not right, Mr. Holman?
Much as it can get.
That's right. Can't get blood out of a turnip.
All right, is there any more public comment or questions referencing to the township manager position? Okay. All right, I make the motion that we go ahead and, with no other business to deal with?
Do you want to direct me to send the information of the township records up to Mr. Unger so that Henry's Road can be?
Yes, I make a
Address?
motion that we approve for Helen to, the issue with a private road being mapped out on other agencies, that it's a public road and not a private road, correct?
Backwards. The private road is being shown as going onto private property where it does not belong.
Correct,
And they have the wrong T number on a couple other maps.
correct. So we make the motion that Helen pursues that with the county to get that, that correction made, and to be able to reflect
Correct.
correctness
Information.
of that information that was brought in the last meeting by Mr. Holman.
Is that your motion?
Yes.
I second the motion.
All in favor say, discussion?
Yes, sir.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Ayes have it. So do, Helen.
Okay.
Okay? Any other business?
No, to my knowledge.
Okay. All right. I make the motion that we close the meeting.
I second the motion.
Okay, second's been made. The meeting has been adjourned.